Hey, deserving listeners, a lot of you have been emailing me to watch this documentary on Netflix that just came out called Unknown Number, The High School Catfish. And I have already watched the whole thing, and I'm coming back to the beginning here to do a little intro, because I want to say this documentary is very interesting, and I could see why people would want me to talk about it. One, because it's a very interesting documentary, and it has to do with psychology that can be a little confusing. And it doesn't fit neatly into the common hypotheses that I think lay people understand these days, whether it's narcissism or psychopathy or antisocial or something. It doesn't fit neatly into that. So I could see why people would email me and be like, what is going on? Now, I want to say I never diagnosed from afar, but I will say that throughout this documentary, it has given me a lot of opportunity to talk about things I don't usually get to talk about in detail. Things like psychopathy, things like dark tetrad, like narcissism, Machiavellianism, sadistic personality disorder, projective identification, projection, trauma, sexual trauma growing up. This documentary has given me a lot of opportunity to use the documentary as a jumping off point to talk about a lot of things and to reference things that we're seeing. So, yeah, buckle up. Let's watch.
I didn't believe anybody would do anything harmful.
And then it started to get worse and worse. Owen and I down to suck finger fuck. It was so bad to the point where I didn't want to even go to school anymore. I didn't really know who to trust. And then I said, okay, that's it. I have to tell my parents.
All right. So I've been taking notes. This is taking place in Beale City, Michigan. And I looked up the population. They have 312 people. They've already talked about how the school is very small. It's preschool through 12. And the main characters so far are Lauren and Owen, who have been dating since they were like 12 or 13 or something, and now they're in high school. The parents are friends now as well, and it just seems like a perfect situation. Two families that have a son and a daughter that are in love and have a sweet relationship, but they are both getting these texts, particularly Lauren, the girlfriend. She's getting all these really super toxic texts. The person texting Lauren appears to be trying to bully her, and the number is blocked, so they don't, it says unknown number when they get the texts. But it makes me wonder if you can block an unknown number. Anyway, so they're getting all these texts, and they've been interviewing some of the friends, and there seems to be some indication that maybe the cyberbully person, the text bully person, goes to the school because the person texting Lauren is using Lauren's nickname, which is Low, and also knows what she's wearing day to day. There seems to be some indication that the person bullying Lauren is close to her. And I'm a little stuffy, I think, because I'm allergic to dust mites, and maybe some dust got in my nose somehow. Let's watch.
His dick and fingers, my pussy and mouth.
They're 13. If this is a ninth grade girl or boy.
Right, and I should mention that the theme of the cyberbullying is to, one, insult her looks or the way she dresses or something, but also the person is saying that Owen is in love with me and Owen wants to have sex with me in a very graphic way. And you screwed up, Owen. You never should have dated him. He's better off without you, that kind of, but in very flowery language.
You try and get attention? Fuck off. My fucking tits in his face. Fucking make him horny. Make it cream.
What in the world? They were vulgar and nasty.
Yeah, I don't know. If you've watched the documentary, you know where it's headed. It seems like a mystery documentary, so I'm guessing that there's going to be a twist and there's going to be some red herrings along the way. Typically, there are. But I will say my initial impression of the texts is pretty advanced language. You know, of course, a teenager could acquire that language, of course. but there seems to be something kind of adult-like about the texts.
She could be sending them to herself for attention, or we had no clue.
So we would try to like say things loud next to certain people to see if it would get brought up into the text messages. And the only time it got brought into the text was when we would say it around Lauren, which was definitely a red flag.
Okay, since it's so early in the documentary, I'm guessing this is a red herring because you would never organize or edit a documentary with the mystery being solved in the first 15 minutes. But what they are implying or suggesting is that Lauren herself is sending those texts to herself and to Owen and others as a way to get attention or something. Who knows?
Lauren would never really directly talk to me about things.
Lauren was always just like to herself, never showed any emotion, and only talked about like sports and just stuff that didn't really mean a lot to her.
Everybody wanted to know what I would do if I didn't.
All right, so they're suggesting that she's a pent-up person and is using social media or texts to vent or something. I have to say that whenever they want to make someone look bad, they show the selfies as if young people who take selfies are narcissistic or disturbed or something. And I don't know, I'm not enjoying the manipulative tactics of it. Just tell the story, you know?
There's 700 kids that go to Beale City. Really, at this point, you know, this could be anybody.
I went to some of my students who I knew would be the most truthful with me and asked them about the situation.
We asked every question imaginable to these kids.
They knew little to nothing about.
I don't see why they just don't go to the phone company or the police. Don't they have that option? I mean, they're interviewing all the kids. You know, chances are the bully or the bullies are not going to tell you, so contact the authorities. There's ways of figuring this out.
Some of the first techniques that we talked about is to simply block the caller. In this case, that wasn't possible because they were using a random number generator application for their phone.
You know, we did try blocking the number, but then it would come from another number.
That's interesting. Yeah, huh. I mean, is that easy to acquire? The ability to use any number?
We gave further advice to change the students' numbers.
We did contemplate that for a while, but we knew that it was someone that we were close with. I mean, the information that they knew where they were at all the time, and we were afraid of never finding out and allowing this person into our home. You know, if it's one of their friends, are we inviting them?
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that. How scary it would be to know that someone out there is that toxic, that sadistic, that might have come over to the house, might come over to the house regularly. You know, that would be really scary.
And unfortunately, it became a strain in their relationship.
The messages had just gotten to be too much, and I think that's really what the last several months of their relationship revolved around was, did you talk to this girl? Were you, you know, with this person? Because it's a lot of lies.
We're hearing that Lauren and Owen broke up, which isn't too surprising. Most younger relationships don't, well, really most relationships don't last super long, right? So it's not unusual that they broke up. But the parents, or at least the moms, at least in the clips we saw, seemed to have the narrative that they broke up because of the texts. Texts were getting under their skin. And Lauren started to get actually worried is because a lot of the texts were saying that Owen and I did BJs. I mean, I'm exaggerating, but so on one hand, the texts seem like they're coming from an adult who knows, I don't know, the way that you can say things sexually in a provocative way. That's a way, but I hope you know what I mean. But there's other evidence that the person texting is like a 7-year-old that doesn't understand sex at all. There's certain phrasings. And the other thing is there's no punctuation, which always bothers me. It's like, just put a period, you know. Otherwise, I'm like, wait, what? You know, I have to go back. Anyway. So they are breaking up, and the brief narrative that they're telling us is that it was because of the strain of the texts, but also because Lauren started to get worried, and Owen was trying to reassure Lauren, no, I'm not getting together with this person. And then they became estranged, and then they broke up. Okay.
I could not find any of those phone numbers connected to this IP address.
What about adults? What about, whoever? So we just dumped contacts.
And then I found one phone number that kept coming up being connected to that IP address at the time these messages were sent.
Okay, this seems like maybe a big deal. To catch you up, they were looking into a couple other girls at the school, one Chloe, another Adriana. And from the sound of it, a lot of people are talking about this naturally at the school and the parents, and it's been going on for several months. At this point, I think it's been like 18 months since the texts started, and the texts were frequent and often, dozens a day kind of a thing. I think it was off and on, but the texts were going out to all sorts of people, mainly focused on Owen. It seemed like the cyberbully person or group of people wanted, at the very least, to give the impression, if not wanted to be with Owen. I don't know. And definitely did not want Owen dating anyone else. Owen and Lauren broke up. Owen started to kind of date another girl, and the bullying started up again. And then Owen ended that relationship because he just didn't want to deal with that anymore. And so there was that. But, it just seemed like Adriana was being accused. She's, I think, Owen's cousin. I'm not sure. But she was being accused of possibly being, it seems like a lot of kids are convinced, oh, I bet you it's Chloe, or I bet you it's Adriana, or I bet you that Lauren's doing it herself. Everyone's, it seems like there's a group of people that are jumping to conclusion, or at least it appears that way to the individuals being accused, and they are trying to cooperate with the police, and people are still convinced it's them. So it seems like there's a lot of conspiracy, I don't know what you say, like rumor mongering, or people being convinced one way or the other. I don't know. But the police reach out to the FBI, which I'm thinking, why did it take this long? 17 months or something. If the police don't, it seemed like the police had some resources, but not the resources that the FBI had, which makes sense, right? Anyway, so the FBI agent just starts going through the records. And that's what I was thinking. Why wasn't this done in the first week? Because I don't know the technology precisely, but every text has a record that is stored. You have the cell tower that connected to the phone that received the text, and then you have the networking that happens, and there's all these checkpoints, and then you have the cell tower that received, or the Wi-Fi that received either an IP address or something. It's all logged somewhere. So why haven't they looked to figure out who it was based on that? Because I think there's a fairly easy way to do that. And it's been 18 months, and all these horrific things have been happening. Again, I don't know the law. I don't know the procedure. I just stuff like this flies under the radar. I categorize all this in this category of like general stalking, right? And I've worked with cases. I've been a part of cases that had this kind of gray zone area where the authorities will say, well, unless he does something like actually attacks you, we can't do anything. We can't stop him from driving by your apartment or your work every day, that kind of stuff. And it's just like we need, and I'm not familiar. I think there are laws in some jurisdictions, but they're not strong enough is the point. And shit like this needs to stop. And there are so many stories like this, and I don't think anything's going to change, and I think it's just going to continue. Now, I don't know, but it sounds like they're going to figure out who did it.
And the phone number was Lauren's mom, Kendra.
Da-da. What? Now, this could be a red herring, but my goodness. Okay, so you tuned in to see me react, and maybe it's not Kendra, but I could see them actually putting the Kendra thing midway through the documentary, and then the rest of it is like, why would a mom do this kind of thing, right? And the fallout, I don't know. But this is the first time we've really seen stronger, before it was always like, I think Chloe did it, or Adriana, she's a nerd and she probably is jealous of Lauren or so. This is the first time we have hard data. And this would be the sort of data that would really implicate someone. Now, someone could get a hold of her phone, maybe her husband, maybe even Lauren herself, right? So there's that. But, yeah, okay. Wow. Oh, yeah. Well, let's see what... For me, I was thinking, I wonder if it is one of the parents, or I wonder if it is maybe even a police officer, someone that that's close, that has the power to evade the authorities, that kind of thing. But they are interviewing the parents, Kendra in particular, and so I'm thinking, well, why would she agree to be in a documentary in which she was the perpetrator, right? Usually the perpetrator will be left out of the story until the reveal. So now I'm wondering if it's another red herring. You probably know, but let's watch.
And I'm like, no way. Kendra helped coach and was at the school involved. Even when Lauren was in elementary school, I can remember Kendra helping with the book fair and other events that we had at the school. I mean, she was a supportive, caring parent.
I mean, if it is Kendra, this is some psychopathic shit. Whoever is doing it appears to be trying to frame innocent people, to throw up people off the scent or to just expand the harm. So there's that. But if it's the mom, well, I kind of hope it's not, right?
Here, phone on you?
Yeah.
Here's the search warrant. Do you have any other devices you use?
Okay, so this is the badge cam, which is interesting to include in the documentary, in which they have, with a search warrant, arrived at the home to confiscate her devices.
Went on for a while, right?
Yeah, and it didn't start that way.
And I'm sure it didn't.
I don't even know.
That's okay. Just start from the beginning. So they were...
Did she just confess? Let's rewind that.
Every single message.
My number?
Yep. Does it have to do with Owen? Is there an infatuation there with Owen?
No, nothing like that.
Yeah, when she said that, when I saw it the first time, I thought she was not using her words well, because by that phrasing, it sounds like, no, it wasn't that, it was something else. And I thought that what she was saying was, it wasn't me. And no, I'm not obsessed with Owen. But I think she's saying, yes, I did it. And no, I wasn't obsessed with Owen. So, wow. Well, let me make sure it is what I thought it said.
I mean, something serious, because it went on for a while, right?
Yeah, and it didn't start that way.
And I'm sure it didn't.
I don't even know.
That's okay. Just start from the beginning. So they were dating, and then they broke up. So how did it really start? Like, why did it start did it start during when they were still dating?
It did.
Yeah, it's really interesting because she is a very, on the surface, seemingly a nice person, right? The one thing that I am guessing that they're leaving out or they don't know is if she did do these things, it's not the only thing she's done. People don't just do something like this for 2 years by this point. I think it's been 22 months. People don't do this sort of thing without having, in all likelihood, a pattern of this sort of behavior, or lack of empathy, or bullying, or sadism, or something. But yeah, wow. So it is what I thought it was in terms of the edit. They're revealing who did it in the middle, and then they're going to explain or go deeper into why she might have done it. So I wonder if they have data about her childhood or about the way that she is with other people, because up till this point, they've been portraying her as just like a regular, mild-mannered mom, a concerned parent. But yeah, just what a weird case. I'm trying to think if I've heard of a case. I can't. I feel like I would remember a case like this of a mom. This is Lauren's mom, right? Yeah, Kendra, Sean and Kendra. That's her. That's Lauren's mom. I mean, you'd think if it was Owen's mom, maybe, but Kendra is Lauren's mother, and she's berating her about the way she's dressed and the fact that she's with Owen, that Lauren's with Owen, and trying to break Owen up, and then trying to stop Owen from dating other people. So that first question is a very viable hypothesis that Lauren is obsessed with Owen, or sorry, Kendra, the mom, is obsessed with, because why would Kendra be concerned if Owen was dating someone else, unless Kendra's trying to throw everyone off the scent, or she's just sadistic, she's just psychopathic. There's no rhyme or reason. She just wants to attack. And so I'm guessing that Lauren and the kids are not the only victims. She's probably been doing this to a variety of people, even outside of the city, right? She's probably online. Because she sounds pretty sophisticated, hiding her number, that kind of thing. So I'm guessing that if she is guilty of this, which it sounds like she's admitting to, that she's online. Research shows that of the comments online, a disproportionate amount are from sadistic personality individuals and psychopathic personality individuals, meaning that of the general population, let's say 1-2% suffer from sadistic personality and or psychopathic or antisocial personality. But of all the comments on the internet, I can't remember the exact figure, 5-10% of the comments are from these people because they get off on attacking other people. They don't have empathy. They want to exploit. They want to harm. And it's harder to do that in person because there are consequences, whereas online there are no consequences. So, maybe she suffers from that. I don't know. If she did, there would be other behaviors in all likelihood. People like this are usually train wrecks. It's not usually the way that people portray in the movies, Hannibal Lecter and this sort of thing. Those people kind of exist at times, but it's very rare. Usually people who suffer from psychopathy or antisocial, it's a disorder. They're shooting themselves in the foot all the time, and they are running up against consequences all the time. So, yeah, I don't know. Wow. And then you think about Lauren and Owen and Sean, and just, oh, wow.
Was he treating you bad?
But it didn't, the first ones didn't start, with me.
Okay.
I will say that. Those ones were, random or whatever.
So somebody else started those, you don't know?
I thought she was going to say the first ones were my husband. But I think what she's saying is I learned from Lauren that she was getting texts from some bully. And then I piled on. Wow.
And I fed off of it some.
Her confession isn't an over-the-top admission.
And it's interesting, it's notable that she confessed so quickly. We're not seeing all the footage, but it appears to have happened very quickly. The police didn't have to put the screws to her very much. They said they had evidence. It's interesting. Even the way she's confessing, she's just like, yeah, okay, yeah, yeah. She seems shameful. She seems guilty. She seems to be feeling guilt, but maybe not. Maybe she's just feeling bad, like, oh no, I'm caught. Oh, wow. Now, maybe the mom has trauma around this and has just never dealt with it and needed an outlet, or it's quite an outlet, though. I mean, my God.
She more or less is tacitly admitting that she did it by not denying it, but it wasn't a, clear admission of guilt.
Does Lauren know anything about it?
No.
All right.
I really don't want her to.
Not sure that's going to be something we can solve, right? Because I have to.
Yeah, there's also a lack of intelligence, I think, that's being, or common sense or something, the ability to plan or think. She's like, can you not tell her? What are you talking about? You're a criminal. Is this a crime? Hopefully it's a crime. At the very least, it's abusive, right? So CPS would be involved, right? Can you not tell her? What are you talking about? Of course, the police are at your house. They're confiscating your devices. You just admitted it. Everyone's going to know. Everyone on Netflix is going to know. It's just that mindset of just like, can you just give me a slap on the wrist and we can just call it a day? I'll stop doing it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and then to send the text from her device, and why?
Let Jill know and those guys.
And I'm not diagnosing her, so I don't know, but this is an example of the train wreck that is often the lives of the antisocial or the psychopath. They have a disorder that to some extent involves them not being able to plan for the future. Impulsiveness is part of the problem. It's not like an ADHD impulsiveness. It's an impulsiveness around not understanding how other people are going to feel or react to things because they lack empathy, and will take action very aggressively, very impulsively, very quickly without thinking. And they'll steal from the cash register at work, even though they know there's a camera. They will do something like this, even though they're doing it from their own phone, without thinking, well, what will happen when eventually they figure it out? They don't think about that. And then once they're caught, they typically don't have a plan about how to get out of it. They're not geniuses, is the thing. They're not Hannibal Lecter.
Not sure that's going to be something we can solve, right? Because I have to let Jill know and those guys. There's others that are going to want to know because their daughter, like the Wilsons, has been accused of all this throughout. And it's a bad deal. I get it.
Once this is out there, like, I don't know how she can go to school.
I know.
Do you have any other electronic devices you use?
No.
Do you want me to go out and talk to Lauren?
I will say I see a ton of booze. It's like 100 or 200 bottles of hard alcohol, I think, on the dinner table. Maybe they're just a distributor. I don't know. I'm just looking for some kind of clue as to what in the world would cause this.
Can we just bring her in?
Yeah.
The other thing I should mention, I don't know if it's relevant to what's coming up, but we used to have, I'm 95% sure of this, in the DSM, our manual of disorders, decades ago, one of the versions included one of the personality disorders of sadistic personality disorder. And it was excluded for, I think, wrong-headed reasons. And there are still those of us that will use the construct because it is helpful and it does label a certain personality type and behavior in a way that other labels don't. So it is helpful as a label. So when we do research on the dark tetrad, which is psychopathy, meaning lack of empathy, narcissism, which you all know what that means, Machiavellianism, which is planning in advance for harming other people or getting away with things, doing psychopathic things, planning in advance. And the fourth is sadism. So these are all very highly associated with each other. Lack of empathy, grandiose self-image, planning in advance, to scheme. It's a general orientation of like, okay, how can, because it's one thing to act psychopathically in the moment that, money's in the cash register, for example, and you just see it and you take it. It's another thing to plan in advance. Like, I am going to go on a month-long campaign to tear someone down emotionally, and I know what I'm doing, and I want them to be suffering. I want them to suffer. Those are two different types of harming other people, right? One is like impulsively, like, oh, you're really upsetting me. I'm going to insult you to your face. But then when I walk away and I'm watching TV, I don't really think about you. The Machiavellianism. But then the fourth is sadism. So all four are associated with each other, but they are different. And some people can have one without the other, or three without the fourth. Sadism is the personality type of it's a disorder where people wake up in the morning and they want to harm other people. I worded that funny. They get pleasure from harming other people in a way that other people do not. So you can lack empathy, but not take pleasure in harming other people. So for these sorts of people, when push comes to shove, and you get in their way, they don't have a problem harming you, but they don't go out of their way to harm you because they don't take pleasure in harming other people, but they don't care about other people's feelings. So if you are both vying to get the promotion at work, they don't have any problem talking shit about you or lying about you or throwing you under the bus because you're in their way, that kind of thing. Or if you insult them in public, they don't have any problem attacking you verbally or physically or something. But for people with sadism, they actually want to harm other people. Now, you have both of those. That's a really toxic combination, right? And then you involve narcissism and Machiavellianism. You have the dark tetrad. You have a true monster. And I don't use that word lightly. But you can have sadistic personality and still have empathy. You can have sadistic personality and not, so in this case, who knows? You could have sadistic personality and Machiavellianism, but not narcissism and not psychopathy. And generally speaking, you're a good person. You care about other people. Maybe you're a good parent, but you take pleasure in harming other people and you kind of obsess about it. And you need a way to get that sadistic pleasure met. Some people will sublimate through like sexual play, BDSM, the S is sadism, right? And you can do consensual sadism, masochism play and get that pleasure. But some people either don't have those ways to have an outlet. Another outlet might be watching videos online of people being harmed or something, and you're not the one that's harming others, videos of people getting in car crashes or whatever it is. Reality TV could actually be another outlet, because there's often harm happening. But for some people, that doesn't meet the need, or they're very determined to have it be themselves that is causing the harm. They need to see the person harming, or they know that reality TV or the sublimating options of sadism aren't really harming other people. They need other people to actually be harmed. They don't want it to be play. They don't want it to be simulated harm. They want it to be real. And so for these individuals, some of them, not often, most of them lack empathy, but some of them actually have empathy, regular empathy, like all of us. And they are ashamed of harming other people, but they still do it and they'll justify it to themselves. And then you add Machiavellianism and you have this scheming. You have someone that thinks ahead, how to evade consequences, how to really break someone down, how to not act impulsively, like attacking her daughter right to her face, but like, how do I do? Because the first time this happened, it would have to be thought about beforehand, right? And this would be the sort of scenario. It's like, oh, she's getting these really bullying. She's being harmed. Ooh, now I want to be the perpetrator of that. How do I do that? Okay, I got to make a plan, and I got to get the masking of my phone, and I've got okay. How do I learn how to text like a kid? I'll study that and don't go too far and don't reveal too much, because you're gonna out yourself. And so how do I do this? And how do I slowly over 22 months just break this down? So I'm not saying that's what's happening, but it's an hypothesis. All right, well, let's adjourn there. That'll be the end of part 1. Tune in next time when I continue watching this show. And everyone out there, please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.